Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Grand Theft Auto 4 on the Mysterious JG. I stepped away from the game for a couple of days. I have off-screened us to the point where we're getting on board the helicopter. I'm doing little things to try to make up for the just failure fest of the last few videos by trying to be in a position where if things go well, I'll tell you what I did. I sat down and I started playing the game, not recording, to get through the car chase and firefight portion of the mission. Came out of the firefight with acceptable armor, like about half of my armor left, because I'm now doing the thing where I go around back, get on the roof, kill the guys on the roof, and then from the roof kill the other guys. So that takes a little longer, but it's a really safe and effective way to do it. And then I went and I did the thing where I chased on the bike and went off the ramp, and I guess I wasn't going fast enough. It seemed like I was, but I didn't trigger the cinematic of us grabbing onto the helicopter. We just crashed the bike. So I continued. I did the firefight again. This time I got to where I'd killed everybody, and all I had to do was you step on a certain... You get to a certain place, and you trigger a scene with Jimmy, and then Jimmy flees, and you have to fight a few guys on the roof and a few guys outside between you and the motorbike. So I killed everybody that you have to kill to get to the chase with Pegorino portion. Went back, got armor, because I really want to have armor. I want to be in a position where if we can get through the frickin' chase portion, whatever's left after we avoid getting shot down in the helicopter, we are situated so we'll beat it on the first try. I don't want to just keep redoing everything. Because there's one continuation point in this mission, and it is you finish the car chase. That's it. You finish the car chase. You have to fight everybody at the marina, chase on the boat, chase in the helicopter, and whatever comes after that, that all has to be done in one shot. I'm not complaining per se. This is not as frustrating and doesn't have as many failable things strung together as the last mission of GTA 3 does. But I am annoyed at some of the different weird ways I found to fail. I also considered getting a PCJ or an NCG... NRG, I think, like whatever the fancy racing bikes are. I considered getting one of those and parking it so we could use that instead of a dirt bike to like minimize the chance that I could possibly miss the jump. But as you'll recall, we tried to game it once so that we could chase Jimmy on a boat instead of on the dirt bike, and we got a message that we abandoned the bike and therefore failed. So I think if we put a different bike there, the game has a bike that we are supposed to use and we would fail. Anyway, when I get off of the pause screen, we will be slamming the A button to climb into the helicopter, and then I have to just fly the helicopter and hope we don't get shot down. Until the story wants you to, because you are supposed to get shot down. I'm sure you can fail by not... I'm sure you can fail by not... Sure you can fail by not pressing A fast enough. I'm trying to stay far away enough from him that it's tough for him to hit us with missiles, but... Yeah, there's a plot missile we're supposed to get hit by, and that was it. So whatever Roman was going to say, and we missed that. But this was a plot missile. We were supposed to get hit by that one. I think I was like 1 or 2 seconds early that I got hit by a missile before triggering this. So now we're on Happiness Island. He can't really escape because we're all on Happiness Island. This is the first time the story makes you come here. It's very thematic because this is... Well, why did they come along? Okay. We really... Oh, man. I can always find a way to screw things up, but this really should be it. So, what I was starting to say is, yeah, Happiness Island down here, they had to call it something. They always change the place names. So, obviously, Happiness Island is a reference to Liberty Island because Liberty City is already a reference to the Statue of Liberty. So, the Statue of Happiness on Happiness Island. The story never makes us come here. It's very conspicuous in the sense that it's sitting there and it's never used in the story. But it does make sense. Hey, Nico the immigrant to Liberty City Although it's called the Statue of Happiness, the end game is going to take place near the Statue of Liberty, because there's this whole story about this guy coming to New York City to try to make a life for himself, and New York City is a cold and unforgiving place. Whatever's wrong in Nico's past, a fresh start in New York City is like kind of the dream that Roman fills him with, but the realities of just New York City representing like the cold cruelty of life itself, he's every effort he makes to start over and do something good and clean. Not that he's trying that hard to be good and clean, but it's all failed. So I mean, I will have plenty of time to like chat about nonsense during the credits here, but I think it makes sense that the story kind of ignores the Statue of Liberty until the very end, and then you are like forced into a showdown at the Statue of Liberty at the end. I think that's actually pretty cool. All right, so we got most of our armor. I did lose a little during the last chase. We kind of don't want to rush this too much because I don't know who could be after us. Now we have a wanted level because of this guy shooting at us, and we had to shoot back. I think we're best off just chasing Pecorino, because now the cops are going to harass us, and we need to finish it. We should have enough armor to deal with Pecorino, though. Yeah, because Pecorino has armor, but he's just a guy. Yeah, I kind of... That was what you're trying to do, right? Anyway, we just won the game. Like, all those failed efforts, that's all we had to do. Not get hit by that one missile and then shoot this one guy.
I told you to leave me alone.
Pecorino, should I have been wearing a suit for this cinematic? I guess this is my default costume.
Not looking so good there, Jimmy.
Screw you.
What the fuck did she ever do to you?
That was an accident, Nico. Let's still be friends.
Immigrant dipshit.
Big talk. You wanna know something?
It wasn't really
funny?
that big talk, but...
Really?
Oh.
The commission. The old families. I know some of those.
Well, one of those guys.
And they thought you were a fat fucking joke.
They said fat?
Whatever.
Really? That's not nice.
Joke.
I kind of admire Pecorino's ability to just... Well, not try to shoot him in the back, but his ability to just gotta be like, whatever, fuck you. I know I'm dead. I'm not gonna beg. I'll give it to him for that, at least. That being said, Jimmy Pecorino, never a particularly nice character. But we did betray him first.
Yeah.
You want to go look at some fake American titties, cousin?
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. What did I do?
Well, what we've been trying to do for the past 4 videos.
We're done. Now we can start making money. Really?
I suppose.
I suppose so.
That is kind of true.
We won, man. We won.
I mean, Kate didn't win, but you barely saw her on screen anyway. And off screen. I didn't do a bunch of off-screen dates with Kate either. Why is everyone acting like I'm the dick? I didn't kill the lady. Speaking of the lady, let's look at some big marble titties. Statue of Liberty's not made of marble. It's made of bronze, isn't it? Oh, anyway, we guess we get to save now. Sure. Autosave for our post-game adventures if we follow the revenge path. So here's the theme, and it's that music from whatever. Now I'm curious because I checked a video of the ending the other day, and I think what people tend to do on, like, there's a video on YouTube that it's from like a GTA channel that does a lot of videos. And I think they took a bunch of phone calls that you randomly get after the credits and interspersed them across the credits, which I thought was pretty effective and cool. But in reality, we're going to need to wander around for probably just like kill time for the rest of the video, wandering around waiting for people to call us, because, you know, there are some folks who are going to have to call us. That being said, it's difficult to talk too much about how I feel about this ending because I think of the other ending, the one you get if you do the deal with Jimmy Pecorino and Dmitry Raskolov. Is it intentional that his name sounds like Raskolov? It sounds like it's, hey, what if his name is Rascal, but we just add a Russian-sounding syllable to the end? Anyway, I think of the other ending we haven't seen yet as kind of being the canon ending. There is no one canon ending, but in my mind, that's the one that feels like the true ending. So I can't talk too much about this ending without, I'll end up accidentally spoiling the other ending. But I will say this: it makes sense, like the whole theme of the story. This is a very dark game. It's one of my favorite. I think it's one of the best examples ever of like a game writing, like trying to write a game like a real movie and tell an overarching story. Rockstar sets themselves a very difficult task, trying to have like cinematic, character-driven story-style games where player agency still matters. It's very difficult, and I don't know that they've ever really gotten it quite right. But they come very close in GTA 4. That being said, it's a really bleak story. You play Nico throughout the game, you have various decisions that don't really touch Nico's circumstances too much. But at the end of this, one of the problems is that Kate... We didn't do that many on-screen dates with Kate. As a video gamer, I tend to fixate... I don't think I'm like this transactional in real life with dealing with other people, but in video games, I very much am like, okay, so if I do this, I get this in-game reward, and if I do this, I get this in-game reward or penalty. Like, what is the correct decision that's going to make my character stronger or give me some kind of bonus? I mean, that was my thinking behind, hey, do we kill the drug-addicted guy who almost certainly squealed on his IRA allies, even if he won't admit it? Or do we kill the crooked cop who is, like, actively using Nico and constantly putting us in a bad spot? Well, what's the gameplay advantage? One of them gives you this reduce your wanted level thing, which never worked anyway, although I didn't really know going in that that thing would be broken. The other one, you get no in-game advantage. So we chose to kill the drug-addicted guy who squealed on the IRA. Absent that gameplay thing, and the fact that you could get more money out of the crooked cop, I probably would have chosen to... I don't know. I would have had a different thought process. I would have taken, from Nico's point of view, this drug-addicted guy, his life is a mess. He's probably going to die soon anyway. But his brother, the crooked cop, is kind of my enemy. Like, he keeps using me as a cat's paw. He has power over me that I can break free of by killing him right now. And he's handed it to me. He's told me where he's going to be, and he's expecting me to be in a position with the sniper rifle. I have a perfect opportunity to free myself of this guy who's kind of a... not an albatross, but like a threat. But I went with the gameplay decision. Same thing, like the Playboy X versus Dwayne, they make it clear what the right answer is by making Playboy X treat you like a douche and giving you game rewards like a new safe house and a new in-game ally who can send thugs out to assist you, even if that mechanic doesn't work that well. It's clear what they think the real right decision is. So in the end game, I can't talk about it too much without spoiling it, but like, Nico's decisions don't really lead to Kate getting killed, but the narrative is such that, well, we want Nico to lose something at the end just to keep the bleak tone in place. Like, he's fighting his way out, but it's never going to be easy. There's not going to be an easy future for Nico. And by choosing revenge and to go kill Raskolov, I feel like, you know, from a purely moralistic standpoint, that the moral answer is just get out of the business. Tell Pecorino, no, I'm not going to be part of this. I have to get out. I'm sorry. Risk making him an enemy, but just get out. Instead, the way we do it, we're clearly betraying Pecorino, because we tell him we're going to assist him, and then we go out and kill his partner. So we do, in a sense, reap what we sow with Pecorino, even if circumstances that it's our girl and not us who is accidentally killed. What this would all be, I think, if they didn't have a girlfriend dating mechanic left over from San Andreas where you can meet different girls at different places and juggle multiple girlfriends. If they got rid of that completely, because I don't think GTA 5 has anything like that. If they got rid of that completely and had a bunch of cinematics and little like flavor missions where you get to know Kate and you are obligated to get to know Kate. Kate's a fairly realistic character. She's not putting out, she's not going around doing a lot of comic, like she's not overtly sexual. They don't do a lot of comic relief with her being like some kind of crazy slut. GTA games are generally not good at writing their female characters. They do play up to a lot of goofball male stereotypes. And throwing that out there, it's not a deal breaker for me, but it's true. Kate is just like, yeah, she's like a decent person. She's surrounded by people who aren't really that good. She has that classic, like, I was raised Catholic mentality. You can meet people who are like Kate in the real world. And if we'd done more dialogue with her, maybe like less positive things. Like, she is very judgmental about her brothers, but the things her brothers are doing are terrible, right? She's a character, if we'd spent more time with her, I think, you know, you, the viewer at home, and me, we all would have developed more thoughts and feelings about her as a character, but we're not forced to do it. So the game treats it like this huge emotional thing for Nico that she dies, where I was like, I am much more curious what would have happened if we'd invited Carmen. And Carmen might have been like, wedding? I don't know, man. That don't sound like a fun scene for me. And, like, I don't think we're that serious yet, even though she's having sex with you constantly. I mean, they could have, like, they didn't write different variations where you invite Alex or Carmen or Kiki. They just treat Kate like she's your serious girlfriend, and these others are just like fun bits on the side. And again, this is where Rockstar has an impossible thing. Like, they can't write 5 different variations on every scene. What if you're serious with Kate? What if you're serious with one of the other 3? That's 4 scenarios. What if you aren't dating anyone? That's a 5th scenario. It's not fucking Mass Effect, right? Even Mass Effect gets themselves in trouble. It's like, by Mass Effect 3, people are like, wait, you can fuck aliens, but you can't be a homosexual who wants to have sex with someone from the same gender of your own race? And it's like, yeah, okay, that should be worked in. Let's throw in a gay guy and a lesbian woman. Just one. Because we can't have, like, 5 and have them all be interesting and distinct and have enough time to write stuff for all of them. It's like the video game writing problem. Michael Hollick, by the way, fucking great job. And Jason Zumwalt as Roman Bellic. Everybody was great. All the voice acting in this was really solid. And you can read online. Like, I've heard various stories about how they made a conscious decision not to use celebrity voice actors in this because some of the celebrity voice actors they used in prior games, I guess, were difficult to work with. San Andreas had a great voice cast, but legend has it some of the voice cast from Vice City were just like weren't down with working the way that video game voice actors usually do. Anyway, hey, Imposter Pringle, slam a stack of Playboy X. What was I saying? Yeah, GTA sets itself, like Rockstar sets itself an impossible task writing these games. Because the balance between player agency and your decisions making a difference and well-written stuff where it's not just 3 surface details change, but the underlying scene is identical, which is where the Mass Effect series starts to get more and more into that. Elan Luis Rivera, good job as Carmen Ortiz. Yeah, they get more and more into that. It can't be helped. Like, Mass Effect is a good example of what happens when you can only juggle that many balls for so long, and eventually it just turns into, okay, at the end of this 3-game epic, what color are the explosions? Red, green, or blue? Everyone was so angry at Mass Effect 3 when that happened. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back too hard, but I had been wondering from the end of Mass Effect 1, like, not specifically what color explosions, but I was like, at the end, they're going to have to tie this together with one ending where your decisions only have the most cursory effect. So this why am I getting into all that? But my point is that, yeah, the Kate gets killed because you betrayed Pegorino ending is... It works perfectly if you really have bought into the Nico-Kate relationship. And if I remember right from years ago, some of the Nico-Kate date conversations, like Nico spends a lot of time snarking at the other 3 girlfriends you can have. And then it always ends in quote, hot coffee. The Nico-Kate stuff, I don't remember it as having been really, really strong writing, but I haven't seen it in years because I didn't bother to see it this time. But I do remember Nico's style, like, he certainly was more sharing with Kate about what his feelings were. Like, there's no scene where Nico tells, you know, Alex, the blogger who likes to just blog about having sex with dudes at dance club bathrooms. There's no scene where he talks to her about the shit he went through in Eastern Europe. I don't remember in detail, but I feel like Nico got a little bit into the bad stuff of his past with Kate. Or maybe just, even if he didn't get into details, but just talking about, hey, piss foster, fun. But just talking about how he went through some really bad stuff, he can, you know, and her... We had that dialogue between Nico and not Dimitri. What's his name? The guy that Dimitri tricked us into killing for him. Mikhail Faustin. We had dialogue with Faustin's wife, which is mandatory and actually really captured a lot of what's going on with Nico. Or he doesn't really believe in the human soul anymore because the horrors he's seen has convinced him. You know, humans can't have souls because creatures with souls couldn't do the things I've seen. We get a little bit of that, I think, if you spend enough time with Kate. And you also start to find out about how really fucked up the backstory of the McCreary's is. And they can bond, and all that stuff's there. And if you do all of that stuff, then Kate's death can hit you pretty hard. But if you don't, it doesn't. And you just kind of get to the end and Nico's like, I've got to kill that fucker Pegorino. And it's like, yeah, I guess we do. Because he'll probably try to get us again. He failed that first time. He'll probably try again. We better go take him out. Or, you know, Roman and Mallory won't be safe, right? It makes sense for us to go after him. But this, like, personal feeling that is supposed to be there, it's just not quite there. It just lands a little flat. The overarching theme of the game that, you know, Nico's had really bad shit in his past and now he's going to go somewhere and get a fresh start, but there's bad shit going on in New York City too, that, you know, that still works. It's just that this personal feeling that we're supposed to have about Kate, it makes a huge difference to me how hard this ending lands if you've done that optional stuff with Kate. And I guess that doesn't make this game unique. Lots of games have a story where the lore stuff on the side is optional. Fucking Final Fantasy 13 series, you have to go into a codex and read the goddamn lore because the game is terrible at telling you, explaining that. It just has people talking as though you already know what they're talking about. But anyway, no, this is not the first game ever where exploring the side content colors in the world better. But it's, again, I find myself, part of it's because they have such long ending scenes. I always find myself being very hard on Rockstar games at the end. But honestly, it's like going to see it's like Picasso I was about to mention, but this won't work at all with Picasso. It's like if you go to see a really famous painting and there's like one place where it's pretty clear that like if the Mona Lisa just had this one part where he just like accidentally misaligned the eyes, something non-intentional that just fucked up the painting. Like the fact that it's so good and so well done and there's so much care and craft makes the issues pop up to the surface. Playing a game with Zerfall, Lethal, and Grimmeth last night. Grimmeth and Lethal decided to refund it. Zerfall and I decided not to bother. Because we played it for a couple, like 2 hours, I guess. Decided it wasn't worth playing further to record and put on usually Grimmeth's channel. And we were laughing really hard at all the things that were wrong with the game, but I still had fun. And what I realized is, oh, this is just this, like, it was on sale, so I got it for like $6 or $7, or maybe it was $8. And it works okay, but some of the stuff doesn't work that good. And, oh, it's just Kat Davis and Ricky Gervais. I thought there was 3 comedians. I guess well, whatever. Yeah, but like a game like that, like I was kind of laughing, and we were all laughing. But there were things about it where, like, you know, Grimmeth. Why am I talking about Grimmeth? It has nothing to do with the series. But like another person, any other person, Grimmeth in this case, anyone else could have been like, these are problems that this game has, and I find it unacceptable. This is a professionally released product. They're asking people to pay for this, and all these things are wrong with it. And I'm like, the game overall is fine. I had fun. And then in a Rockstar, I'll be nitpicking stuff that is just like, this is clearly head and shoulders above other games that were out at around the same time. And there's a bunch of kind of GTA clones. This was the golden age of the GTA clones. PS2 had like the Mafia series. I've never even played the... what's the one? It's like really crazy. There's lots of intentional humor. I think there's 4 games. I can't think of the name of the series now. I've never played any of them. And every time someone describes them to me, it always sounds like something that would be fun, but I just like, it sounds like GTA Lite. Saints Row? Is that what I'm thinking of? Anyway, no, there's lots of games out there trying to be GTA, and GTA has maintained its throne. It's still the king. And I feel like you're allowed to hold it up to a much higher standard because it's holding itself up to a higher standard. So it's my personality. I'm always negative when I'm summarizing one of these big games. I did the same thing at the end of Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA 4, by the standards of its time, GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, RDR1, these are all fucking monumental achievements in gaming. Like the fact that I can complain about, oh, Kate's death doesn't hit as hard as it should because it's not mandatory for you to develop this relationship with her. It's the nature of the open world, blah, blah.
So this is what the dream feels like. This is the victory we longed for.
Thanks for taking away the last of our happiness, Rockstar. No, but that's the problem with going a big long rant. You never know when you have to stop. Yeah, like if your complaint at the end is, oh, Kate's death doesn't hit as hard as it could because of the fact that you're not forced down the role of getting to know about her story and blah, blah, blah. That's a pretty damn good game if that's the biggest problem that you have with it. You know what I mean? I like Tommy Vercetti a lot. The GTA 3 protagonist, whom we're supposed to call Claude, that was an amusing game because he's such a tabula rasa, but he's obviously not a well-written character. How could he be? Tommy Vercetti's a lot of fun. I like CJ a lot, although I think sometimes he feels like he's just floating around in an ocean of weird story event and doesn't have that much agency. He feels like Claude. He's just like whatever the story calls on him to do, he's just like, all right, Dan, and then he does it. Like, you don't get this sense of CJ controlling his own destiny. Even if he's flying around in a fucking assault chopper, like firing air-to-surface missiles to blow up the ballas, it still feels like it's just a thing that's happening and not something CJ controls. But Nico, the only video game protagonist, and when I say video game, I'm talking like action console games, not necessarily a traditional RPG where, like an Ultima style RPG where you can roam around and do things in a different order, but to complete the story there are certain things you have to do and character moments that happen. I'm not precisely comparing Nico to like anybody from one of the Final Fantasy games or something like that. I'm thinking more like story driven action games. Nico, the only people you can compare Nico to as far as being a well-written protagonist are other Rockstar protagonists, you know? And if you disagree, or there might be an example, there might be games out there I've never played where they had a really well-done protagonist, but it's like, I think Nico is head and shoulders above, as much as I love Tommy Vercetti. Vice City is kind of my sentimental favorite of the GTA games. because it's the first one I remember actually owning. Like I played GTA 3 at other people's, other people's copies. Vice City I own. Vice City's kind of my sentimental favorite GTA game, but yeah, and Nico is just head and shoulders above everybody else. I really love some of the writing for some of the protags in 5, because 5 has multiple protagonists, but I think Nico is probably a better written, more serious character than any of them. You'll meet Trevor. A lot of people love Trevor. He's just so over the top and ridiculous. And Michael DeSanta is, if you really analyze the story, and a massively hypocritical douchebag, even if he's kind of fun to play as. And then the guy whose name I always forget, I feel bad. Oh man, Franklin. I always forget Franklin's name. Franklin feels like CJ Light. He not like the only protagonist that you can even bounce up against Nico, and it's such a different setting, it's difficult. I think I might like John Marston better than I like Nico. And part of this being the fucking personal connection that developed when, like, big long sidebar that I shouldn't get into. When I was diagnosed with a potentially fatal illness, and the game I was playing at the time was RDR2, and then Arthur finds out that he's got he has an absolute death sentence. He has a disease that the medicine of his day cannot. There is no chance that he will defeat the illness he's diagnosed with. That struck me pretty personal. So I don't know if for other people feel the connection with Arthur that I did, but yeah, it's John Marston and Arthur Morgan and Nico. That's my holy trinity of like really compelling protagonists. And what a fucking game. Anyway, so I managed to get to about 30 minutes with that. When we come back next time, I think what I'm going to do is keep playing so that we get the phone calls. And depending on how long that takes, so the next video is really going to be just wandering around, goofing around, not accomplishing anything, because this is the post game. We're going to go around, we're going to get the phone calls, and depending on how much time that takes, like if we're like less than 10 minutes in and we've gotten all the phone calls we're going to get, and we go check our email and no emails have come in that really change anything, we could go on a date with Packy, actually, because he will probably speak to what's happened. Actually, you know what? That's what we'll do. The next video is going to be composed of us going out on friendship dates with a handful of folks that I think may have some response to what happened. And if we go on a friendship date with, like, Roman, and he's talking about things from way earlier in the plot, and I realize, there are mandatory plot dialogues with Roman that we have to get through before we'll just forget about it for that. But we will get at least 30 minutes worth of content before we do anything new, because the next thing we need to do after we've kind of sort of taken our time, kind of catching our breath with the ending of this, we will load the game and go back to before we made that decision about whether we go through with the deal and help Jimmy Pecorino, or if we instead betray Pecorino so that we can get Dmitry Raskolov. We'll load and go back to that, and I need to gather information on all the stranger missions to make sure I hit those. But we'll have at least one video of kind of letting this ending sink in next time. If that doesn't interest you, just keep an eye on the video descriptions, and I will hopefully I will write video descriptions in such a way that you'll be able to tell when we get back into pursuing the story of the other ending. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.